accountable if you try that. These are folks that are doing their jobs. They have been given duties to be able to enforce the laws that are on the books in this country, and they are doing that. And I know there's a lot of politicians out there that are trying to gin up hatred and opposition for what they're doing. That is not going to fly in the state of Florida. So we stand with, of course, our local and state law enforcement, but yes, our federal partners who are working very hard to uphold the rule of law. And we saw a shooting yesterday in Texas, and we see an alarming rise in rhetoric and actions targeting these folks. And so in Florida, we have zero tolerance. You're not going to want to try that here in the Sunshine State. So we're here today to talk about what we've been able to do with education. And our belief has been very simple. We believe regardless of where you're from, regardless of how much money your parents have, regardless of your ethnic heritage, regardless of whether you're male or female, that you have an ability to succeed if you're given the proper tools to have a really good education. But we understand that in order to get there, we can't be obsessed with the systems. We can't elevate the bureaucracy over the needs of the parents and the students, and in many cases, even the teachers. We have to make sure that we're empowering parents to be able to make meaningful choices about their kids' education. We got to put our students first. And so that's what we've done over the tenure of my governorship. Florida had embraced school choice, but we've taken it to a much different level. We are the leading state for school choice in the entire United States of America. We have 1.4 million students that are utilizing some type of school choice option in order to realize their dreams. And some of that is with our private scholarship program. We have 500,000 students who are on our family empowerment scholarship and tax credit scholarship programs. That gives the parents an amount. They can direct that to a private school and be able to do that if that's what they see fit. But that's the choice of the parents, not the choice of the government. We also have over 400,000 students in charter schools, and Success Academy is obviously going to be one of our charter options. And so these are schools that are public schools. Now, they're not controlled by the school district, and I think importantly, not controlled by the teacher unions, but they are public schools. You know, they're open to everybody. Parents can choose or not choose. No one in Florida is forced to go to a charter school. They have to produce results. They have to show parents that they're a place where the parent's going to want to send their kids. And so we have over 400,000 students that have done that. Now, it's important to put this in perspective because, yes, the choice in and of itself is good. If a parent has options, that's better than having one option that's not doing well and you have no way to get out of that. But what are the results of that? If you take our charter school population, that over 400,000 students, and that's more students than some U.S. states have in their entire K-12 system, if that were its own state, it would rank #1 in 4th grade reading and 4th grade math in these United States. And that's just the charter population. And the charter population does skew low income. It would skew to demographics where people would say, oh, you can't expect success. No, we're showing everyone can succeed by what we're doing. So I think that that's really, really powerful. We also have been very supportive of parents who want to homeschool their children. So we have hundreds of thousands of families that are involved in homeschooling. They're able to get school choice financial support to be able to do that. And you're seeing a lot of really neat, innovative things that are developing in the homeschool community to be able to tailor education for what they want. So we stand here today, as Jeanette said, 10 years in a row, Florida's #1 in public higher education. And I think FIU now being firmly in the top 50 for publics is great. I mean, it wasn't long ago that they were closer to 100 than to 50. And so the rise has been very rapid. and I think the rise is going to continue. We also have University of South Florida, Florida State, and the University of Florida that are in the top 50. We have been ranked #1 in overall education 2 of the last 3 years, #1 in education freedom, I think for pretty much every year since I've been governor, #1 for parent power by the Center for Education Reform, and also #1 for parents' rights of any state in the United States. And again, the debate about school choice that we had, I think, a little bit more theoretically maybe 20, 30 years ago, because you didn't have a lot of school choice around the country, was that, oh, if you do school choice, you're going to reduce the quality of the education, money's going to go away from the school districts and all this stuff. And I think what we've shown is, what have the results been? So the results that we see from expanding school choice as follow. Last year, 71% of Florida schools earned an A or a B grade. That's up from 64% the year before. Even better, 44% of schools earned an A. The number of schools receiving a D or F declined significantly year over year. Now, part of the reason I think we were able to do that is we instituted a change in how we evaluate schools. We had focused on one kind of high-stakes end-of-year test that was frustrating for parents and some teachers and a lot of students. It also just practically happening at the end of the year. If you needed remediation, well, the kids are on summer vacation, and so how are you able to remediate? So we replaced that one end-of-year test with progress monitoring. That progress monitoring is periodic throughout the course of the year. It gives an ability for teachers and parents and the school to be able to rectify poor performance, and we've seen a huge increase in performance as the school year has gone on as a result of our progress monitoring. Finally, before we talk about Success Academy, I'm really proud that we've led the way on reinvigorating American civics as something that's really important for our students. We started and the philosophy behind it is simple. You're going to have people graduate from our K-12 system who will want to go to college and go into business or go into college and be a doctor. Some will just maybe be entrepreneurs and not even go to college. Some will go into trades. People are going to pursue a wide variety of paths, but every single person that we send out of this K-12 system of ours is going to be called upon to exercise the duties of being an American citizen. And it's incumbent upon us to ensure they're not just a blank slate when they get out of here, that they actually have a foundation to understand what are the principles that have made America unique. What does it mean to be in America? Why have people fought and died defending this country? And if we're doing that, then we're doing our part so that they can go out and make the most of this really unique opportunity to be a citizen of this republic. And some will want to get involved in civic affairs. Maybe some will just be diligent about voting every election. Maybe some people get involved in their local community. But having that foundation, I think, is really important. And so we have a Civic Seal of Excellence program for teachers, because we can sit there and tell you, you need to read Federalist number 10, you need to read the debate at the Federal Convention, you need to read all this stuff, and that's fine, but you have to have teachers that, one, are passionate about it, but then have a solid understanding. So our program gives them a $3,000 bonus if they go through the program, 50 hours. We got great scholars from around the country talking about all the influences that went into the founding of the United States of America, and the people that go through that, they're blown away by all this stuff, because in a lot of universities around this country, that's not what they're focused on. They've got different agendas. Now, not as much here, not here as long as Jeanette's president, I know that. We want to focus on things that really matter and things that are enduring and really pursue truth, but that's not how it's gone. So that's been hugely successful, and we now have the most robust speech and debate initiative of all 50 states. Every school district in Florida is a part of our speech and debate initiative. I think we have the championships in the spring that we'll do again. And I just think that's valuable, because it's easy for someone to be in their own little cocoon and just regurgitate things, but you may have to, in speech and debate, argue for something that conflicts with your priors. Maybe you got to question your assumptions. Maybe you actually have to think a little bit outside the box and make an argument. And in an era where so many people are on smartphones and stuff, to be able to stand up and express yourself and articulate a position, I think is really, really important. So we're proud of what we've done there. So today, I think it's really monumental for our state. Success Academy is the nation's top performing charter school network. And we have a lot of great ones in Florida. And we've got some amazing classical charters. I got friends in Jacksonville that have done those. We've got some down in South Florida that have done very, very well in different things. And we're proud of that. But Success really brings a proven leader. Success under Eva Moskowitz, they're not trying to kind of get easy points here. They're going in areas that have been more difficult to provide quality education. Here in Florida, they're going to be going in areas that have schools that have been very poor performers, and they are going to be giving populations who may not have had access to great education a chance to do something different. The track record has been sensational. And I mention this in passing, but this is just true. New York City and New York State does not want charter schools, by and large, to be successful. Why? Because it's not something that the teachers' unions want to be successful. Why would that matter? Because they're the ones that really call a lot of the shots, unfortunately, in some of these states. And one of the things we did in Florida was say, no automatic deduction for teacher union dues. They can't be forcing you to do this. They can't even have an expectation it's just going to happen and all of a sudden you'll see it on your paycheck. No, if you want to opt in, you can write them a check, you can do. But what has that done? The number of people that have joined has plummeted. Dade County, Broward, they don't even have enough to be certified anymore. And part of the reason we did that is because we're increasing their salaries at the state level. We're doing a lot of this stuff. You actually had some teacher unions in Florida when we did our, because we've now done a teacher categorical pay increase, where they would withhold the additional salary from the teachers to try to leverage that on other negotiations where they could have gotten the money in the teacher's pocket right away. So you see some of these games that are played, and it's tough. It's a tough environment in places like New York and particularly in California. So I really believe that, the old song is true. If you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere when it comes to doing charter schools. So you now have here with Success Academy and in this community in Miami, a community that has embraced school choice. There is no urban community in America that has more school choice than Miami-Dade County. And it's not even close. You have 2.8 million people. 2.8 million people, and I think it's over 70% of students attend a school other than the neighborhood school where they would traditionally be zoned to go to. And that's all parental empowerment, that's all parental choice. Now with Success Academy, you're going to have launched a entirely new venture for Florida, an operator that has great success and really has high standards. But what I saw, because I went up there and met with Eva like years ago when I was first governor, and what you see is a belief that all these kids have potential. All these kids can do well. Different kids may need different tools. Not every family's offering the same levels of support across every part of our country, but people, they can succeed. And there's a belief in that. And the belief is, and the goal is to, let's get these kids to maximize their potential. So I'm excited. I know we had to work hard kind of in the extra innings of the legislative session, and we're going back and forth, and we got it done because I knew it was important. And so we were happy to lean in on that. So we're going to hear from some of our speakers. So we're going to start with our Lieutenant Governor, Jay Collins. If you want to come up here, he's a 23-year Green Beret, was an outstanding state senator. This is interesting. He lost his leg after 18 years of service, and rather than retire, he became the first person in the history of the Army to requalify as a special operator Green Beret on a prosthetic limb. You want to try that? Probably not very easy. And he's hit the ground running as Lieutenant Governor and has been a real champion for educational choice in Florida. Jake?
Thank you, Bob. Well, it is great to be here today. Jeanette, Madam President, thank you for hosting us. Beautiful facility. It's always good to see you. Thank you for your hospitality here. You know, what a great day to be here in Florida. It truly is. You know, it's important to remember just how critical education is to each and every one of us. You know, my background, many of you have heard about the military stuff, the Chuck Norris thing, and yes, I did requalify as a Green Beret, but there is one small correction, and I'm going to make this as always, right? I do know where my leg is. It's just not with me, so I didn't really lose it. You know, it happens. So that being said, I want to go back just a little bit, kind of the formative years of who I was and where I came from. You see, I was born to a 16-year-old child, someone who was raised around drugs and alcohol, and we didn't have two wood nickels to rub together. So when we talk about education and opportunity, we had a generational lack and a gap of information, education, and frankly, opportunity. So how do you combat that? We know education is that opportunity. It is that key. You see, it took people investing in me, giving me something to drive forward and understand that provided those little glimmers of hope to lead from where I was to where I could be. But only in a nation as great as ours, in a state like Florida, can someone who came from meager beginnings end up joining the military, work as a Green Beret, serve in a nonprofit across the country, feeding millions of meals, and then become the Lieutenant Governor of Florida. It is an honor and it's a privilege, and it's something that I think often we take for granted in this great nation. So being here today to announce Success Academy is critical. It is. You know, here's what I know more than anything else, and this was distilled out when I worked at places in special missions units and as a Green Beret. Competition drives excellence. A rising tide floats all boats. When good people and good organizations step up beside us to help push forward and lead, everybody gets stronger because of it. Having Ken Griffin and Success Academy come to Florida is just that catalyst. It's an opportunity to push things forward, to achieve greatness, to push boundaries that we maybe haven't hit that much yet. So you've talked about universal school choice. Who does that really make a difference for? Obviously, everybody's the answer, but disproportionately, it's kids like me that came from very meager backgrounds who don't know where to go, don't know how to turn, and don't have anybody in their family to reach out to. It provides those opportunities to them disproportionately, and it helps raise those boats. I'm so grateful to have us take a strong stance. Jeanette was there day in, day out. The governor has led from the front on this. We as a state have really grabbed a hold of this day in and day out. You heard the stats, you heard the numbers, they're incredible. But what I want to talk about is our investment in education, our investment in solving problems, but our investment in teachers. $5 billion invested. That's amazing. It is. We have to keep that up. We know that our economy and everything moving forward really is built off of what we teach our kids. It's garbage in, garbage out, but we have a commitment to excellence here, right? If you don't teach them the right things, you allow them to be drawn apart and torn apart at the seams by things that aren't focused on getting stronger, better, or raising them as valuable citizens. What happens to our state? What happens to our nation? It falls apart at the seams. We've seen that in other states, but we do not see that here in Florida because we have stood. We have led, and we've decided that not in our time. That's never going to happen. There are many people who have fought this fight, but it's been led by Governor DeSantis largely across the way. You know, life is a contact sport. It turns out the winning does matter. We have to make sure we give them the opportunity for our children to do what we did, to protect and preserve all that we love, all that we hold to be self-evident and true for our children, just as our forefathers, as our parents did for us. That is our responsibility as citizens. That's our responsibility as parents, so they can do the same thing for theirs. You know, under Governor DeSantis, Florida has led boldly. We didn't play small ball when others hesitated. They failed to step into the breach or stand alone if necessary. We didn't. We innovated, we solved problems, and we stood for students, for families, for education, because it's the absolute best thing we can do to solve problems now, but to establish a base of success as we move forward. So I want to leave you with this. You know, where I come from, the military, and something that I talk about every day, my wife's probably going to whack me with a shoe or something later for saying this again. Excellence is a choice. It truly is. It is a choice. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. And that's Aristotle. But let's distill it down. It's a choice. We can aim to set the bar low, or we can aim for greatness, for excellence in all that we do. Bringing in partners like Ken, like Success Academy, that is exactly what drives us towards greatness, towards excellence. I don't know about you, but more than anything else, I will never fail as a dad and as a husband. I want the American dream for my children, just like you do yours, but I want so much more. Our nation depends on strong, focused education and people like us stepping up and standing up. And we're excited to have you here. We're excited to see what's going to happen, and we're excited to see how far we can push education forward. Thank you. God bless you. God bless the state of Florida.
Okay, Florida Commissioner of Education Stasi Koumoutsas is hard-charging. He's done a phenomenal job, and I can tell you, parents in Florida, you got no better friend than Stasi, making sure that your rights are protected.
Well, good morning, Miami. It's great to be home. Great to be at FIU with President Nunez. Great to see so many friends here in the crowd. I see Representative Omar Blanco. I see President Madeline Pumarriega, as well as Trustee Robert Alonzo and Board Member Dan Espino. It's great to be here in the community that I know and love. I was just here last week with Secretary John Davis. We got to speak to over 2,000 students in the neighborhood I grew up in, North Dade. I went to Dr. Kropp, and I had the ability to participate against some of the best in the district when it came to sports. And I got to go to my rivals' high schools as well and talk about the importance of their future. Whether it was Miami Norland, that just became an A-rated school. That's a big deal for our community. Whether it's Miami Carroll City, who also just got an A as a school. North Miami Beach, Miami Central, Miami Northwestern. It was great to visit with these students and see how much greater the quality of educators and administration is in the public school system because of charter schools, because of the competition that is now taking place. And Governor, I thank you for leading on that. I know firsthand just the challenges and opportunities that we deal with as folks here in Miami. My mother was a single mother of 3 kids, and she struggled her whole life, and she struggled to make sure that we had the best education. And so for our district, at that time, it was Dr. Kropp, and I was super thankful for the sacrifices that she made. There's so many parents in Miami that want the very best for their children, as well as throughout our state. And so thanks to Governor DeSantis, Florida is providing every family access to a world-class education, no matter where you live, no matter how much money you make. So thank you, Governor, for your leadership. Today's announcement expands educational opportunities for Florida students, but especially those most in need, by adding another high-performing option to our state's public education system. We are proud to welcome Success Academy under the leadership of Eva Moskowitz, and I want to thank you, Ken Griffin, for your investments as well to make sure that students that are often overlooked are prioritized in this state, where they're able, through Success Academy, to help raise the bar for academic excellence in these communities. Success Academy brings a nationally recognized record of academic achievement and school improvement. We're confident their unwavering commitment to student success will benefit students throughout our state, starting here in Miami. As Florida's newest approved School of Hope operator, Success Academy will play a key role in transforming persistently low-performing schools into high-achieving learning environments. Schools of Hope operators consistently outperform both district and state averages in states where they currently serve, delivering results for students who need it most. School of Hope operators are held to rigorous standards of accountability while offering innovative, student-centered solutions that empower communities and drive measurable success. With the addition of Success Academy, Florida is strengthening its commitment to ensuring that innovation, accountability, and academic excellence go hand in hand, especially in these communities with low-performing schools. Success will not just expand school choice options for families, but they will also ensure that students are prepared for their future careers. And I want to highlight, Florida was also just recently ranked for the 4th year in a row #1 in education freedom because of our stance on education choice. teacher freedom, accountability, civics. We continue to rank #1 in every metric year after year because of this governor's leadership in prioritizing education. And today, we are proving that all children, no matter their background, no matter their zip code, no matter where they live, they can have access to a world-class education. I couldn't be more proud to stand with our governor and our lieutenant governor as we add even more high-quality educational options for families across our state. So thank you, and God bless.
And you know, one of the things that we've done since I've been governor is to say, you know, pay teachers more. And I agree, but the problem is like you send more money to school districts, they don't have to spend it on teachers. And a lot of times bureaucracies grow. So we created a categorical in the budget that, and it's now $1.35 billion, 1.38, it only can be spent on teacher salaries, but we include the charter schools in those public schools. And so we've been able to help our charter schools teachers get pay increases. And look, you're not getting rich being a teacher, but like in Miami, it's a high cost of everything. It helps, and so we're going to be committed to continuing to do that. So you can anticipate us rolling out an even larger teacher categorical for next year, and that announcement will be forthcoming. Pleased to bring up the CEO of Success Academy, and they have had an enormous amount of success in New York City under a lot of obstacles that get thrown their way. And we had discussed coming down to Florida many, many years ago, and you know, things kind of work out, and I think we've created now an environment where it makes sense for them to come. And I think Miami's just the beginning. I think where there's needs around the state, I think you're going to see Success Academy make a big, big difference. And so while we're here today and excited about what it means to this community, I guarantee you there's going to be other places around the state of Florida where you're going to see success in the years to come. So come on up.
Good morning. Very nice to be here, President Nunes. Thank you for your gracious hospitality. Governor DeSantis, what you've done in the Sunshine State vis-a-vis education is extraordinary, starting, of course, with school choice. But the recent legislation throws down the gauntlet that excellence matters. There is no state in the country that has made this kind of commitment to excellence. It is not only going to help the poorest and most vulnerable children in Florida, but I think you're going to set a national standard for the country. Because as many other speakers have said, despite recent successes, we have a crisis in public education. We have a crisis in America. If we look at our international competitors, we are not keeping up. And so having this emphasis on quality is a game changer. And it's why I am so pleased to announce that not only am I coming to Florida, but I am coming to Miami because of the work, Governor, you and the state legislature has done. I thank I'm so excited to work with other Miami educators, business and civic leaders, and the diverse set of community leaders here in Miami. It's a little emotional. I have been fighting, as the governor said, in a blue state. I'm not used to being welcomed. I'm not used to people liking high standards. It's a little new for me. So it's just been really, really great to think about the amount of good that can be done. And it's not only success, it's really partnering with other charter operators. I'm passionate about all kids, whether they're in district schools or charter schools. We've got to get every single child to excellence. I'm also pleased to announce, and I have to confess a little emotional about this too, that Ken Griffin, who has been an incredible philanthropist for so many causes in this country, is making a $50 million gift to success to come to Miami and support the poorest children to achieve unparalleled educational excellence. I am extraordinarily moved by this, and I hope others are as well. It's really hard to capture in words the magnitude and the meaning of such an unprecedented gift. It is transformative to commit to our most vulnerable children and the American dream. Please join me in thanking Ken. And I'll just close by saying, Ken, you're not only helping the children of Miami and the Sunshine State, but you're sending a national message, like the governor, that children, poor children, matter, that excellence matters, that the American dream matters, and it's time to get going. Thank you.
Well, we're excited to have Eva in Success Academy, and I think the sky's the limit. As she mentioned, Ken Griffin has put up $50 million to help with this. And obviously, the state, we're involved in the charter schools, but that's going to have an enormous impact. But, that is not the only $50+ million donation Ken has made in Florida in recent years. He's been incredibly generous. He's one of, the top financial whizzes that we've had in the modern history of our country. He's built a incredibly successful company. I tried to get some stock tips out of him on the way over here, but he's a guy, he watches a lot of stuff, but has had an enormous amount of success because of America, starting his own business and doing it. But I think that his passion to help others, particularly with education, has really been unparalleled. And so when he moved the company down here a few years ago, yes, look, these are high-paying jobs, they contribute to the economy, but I will tell you the philanthropic impact that he's had just in the last 4 or 5 years has been incredible. So this is another example of that, and I would, if I were a betting man, I would say it's certainly not the last example of Ken Griffin's really significant philanthropy. So come on up, Ken, we'd love to hear from you.
So thank you so much, Governor DeSantis. And today truly is a moment of celebration for the children and families across Florida. Under your leadership, and with the support of our state legislator, Florida continues to lead the nation in ensuring every child has access to a world-class education. And when I walked into the room this morning, I said to Eva, welcome to the state of Florida. All of us are so thrilled that you have chosen to come here to have such a profound impact on the lives of so many children in our great state. Thank you and welcome to Florida. Now, I'm going to brag for Eva for just a moment, because I must give you credit for being humble all the time. But in New York City, Success Academy works with students who are in the inner city, who often come from very challenging demographic backgrounds. It is a remarkable testament to Eva and her team that these students in the state of New York place first as a district in mathematics, and that the middle school children will usually outperform the high school graduates of the most affluent communities in the state of New York. It is a remarkable testament to your leadership and to your team's commitment. Now, I've walked the halls of success. I have spoken with the students. I have had the moments in the classroom where they're posed difficult questions that with my Harvard education I struggled to find an answer to. We do need to work on higher education in America, don't we? But what I will tell you is I love the culture of optimism, rigor, and most importantly, high expectations. High expectations. Teachers and leaders who know that these children can have remarkable lives and who make the personal commitment to bring the best out of these children. Jay Collins and I spoke before today's event for just a moment about our shared family histories. Jay grew up in a family with little, and I was very fortunate that I grew up in a family with some means, but my grandmother grew up in a house with no running water, like Jay did. And for Christmas, she had an orange. And like Jay and like the governor, we all firmly believe that education truly is the on-ramp to the American dream. And so, Governor, with your leadership, Eva, with the gift and commitment of your team, we will pave the road for tens of thousands of students here in Florida to join all of us in living the American dream. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm excited. I think this is a really important day for Florida. I just can't wait to see what Success Academy can do. And I just will echo what some of the other speakers had said, either explicitly or implicitly. We believe that kids from all walks of life have the potential to succeed. And Eva Moskowitz believes in setting those standards very high and working to make them reach their full potential, and she has a model that works. So we're already #1 for charter schools in those categories, but I have no doubt that Success is going to put us up even more. So thanks everyone for being here. I can take a couple questions before we leave. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for taking our question for Ryan with CBS Miami. Hoping you can clarify for me, is Success Academy going to be creating new schools or going into existing schools, underperforming schools, and then transforming them? And then based on the answer, are they, do you know where the new schools would be or what schools they would be taking over?
So they will be doing, potentially a combination, right? I mean, certainly new schools. We also, with Schools of Hope, do have an ability when some perform poorly, where that can basically be taken over by a charter operator. One of the things that we have provided in the recent legislation is an ability for them to access empty space that we have in some of these schools because, quite frankly, poor performing schools get less enrollment in the era of school choice. Parents have the ability to go. So they're going to be able to utilize that. But so I think it's going to largely be, they're going to start new schools. But I do think, given Florida's Schools of Hope program and the ability to have a charter operator we just did one in the Panhandle not too long ago. So that would be an option as well.
I was hoping you might explain your thinking a little bit on deeding the land next to the Freedom Tower to the Trump Presidential Library rather than.
Well, I think that the reality is Miami-Dade College, they're using it as a parking lot. Oh, we got to see the president's here. Thank you. Okay, and so it's a site that they are interested in doing a presidential center on, and I think to have that done in conjunction with one of our state colleges is really monumental. Now, we had worked and negotiated possibilities at Florida Atlantic, here at Florida International, and I know they thought hard about that, but their preference was for this land next to the Freedom Tower. So you're going to have a presidential library in the state of Florida, which I think is good for the state of Florida. I think it's good for the city of Miami, but you're going to have Miami-Dade College be able to have programs that are going to be associated with that. And so we think it's appropriate. We think it's going to be good for the state of Florida. And think about this. Donald Trump is like the quintessential New Yorker, right? I mean, like, he was Queens, real estate, apprentice, all this stuff. And he's not doing his presidential library in New York City or anywhere in New York State. And I think that's a testament, one, how he was treated by New York City with the Attorney General trying to take his money and the bogus prosecution, but also the city has got a lot of problems. They may elect a mayor that's going to cause a spiraling out of control of those problems in November. And so I think the fact that they want to do it right here in Miami, right by that Freedom Tower, to me is a testament that they view Miami as a city on the rise and the state of Florida as a place on the rise. So I think it's a good signal for the state that they would want to invest into this area, and I think and I look forward to being able to facilitate that process. Now there may be other things that they're going to need to bring this to fruition, but I think this is the first step, and we're happy to play a role in that.
Governor Danielle Garcia with WSPN. So to clarify back on the school's Success Academy, is that going to be opening 2026? Is it going to be Miami County, Broward County?
So I think, and Eva can give you precise. I think her philosophy is, she's not going somewhere to do just one school. Like she believes, and we believe in their approach. We believe that there's going to be a lot of places around Florida where this approach can make a meaningful difference in the lives of the students. And so I think Miami is step one. I absolutely would envision that you will be seeing Broward, you will be seeing West Palm, you'll be seeing Orlando and some of these places. I think that that's very likely. I think that's their model. I think that that's their intention. Now they got to go in and they got to start moving the needle here in terms of getting up and running and doing this. But they have an ecosystem in place with the legislation I signed where that can be done. So if we're here in 5 years, I would anticipate that you likely would have multiple Success Academies throughout Florida.
Governor, your thoughts on open carry, which is now essentially leveling in Florida as of today?
Well, it's something that I've always been supportive of. And the thing about it is, the political debates are interesting to me because, you can have your position for or against. But like when you say that the sky's going to fall if you have open carry, well, I can look at 40 plus other states that have it, and I haven't seen the sky fall. We already have under statute, mind you, permitless concealed carry, constitutional carry. That was a big deal when that was signed into law years ago. So I don't think it's honestly going to make a meaningful difference in kind of the daily culture of Florida. That would be my guess, simply because it hasn't really done much different in these other states. I think a lot of folks who are big proponents of the Second Amendment, I think they're concerned with Florida basically saying you can never open carry is if they have a concealed firearm, they sit down at a restaurant, they open their jacket, and then the firearm all of a sudden shows, have they committed a criminal offense for that? And it just didn't make sense. So I think that was really why a lot of people were opposed to Florida's blanket prohibition. But basically you had, I think it was just Illinois, New York and Florida were the only 3 states that just had a flat ban. So I know media portrays it certain ways, but look at what other states, look at the laws of that. We're much more consistent now with the vast majority of states, even blue states, quite frankly. Vermont, for example, has had this since like the 1770s, and they're a very blue state. So yeah, I mean, I thought that was the proper reading of the Constitution, and it'll be something that'll be upheld in Florida. Yes.
What would you say to those who say charter programs like this can take away students, resources from public school systems? What would you say to those programs?
Well, I'd say look at what I've done since I've been governor. I mean, we have the highest per pupil spending we've ever had in the state of Florida. We've increased funding for our school districts every year. We've done the teacher categorical, which started, I think, at $500 million. Now it's almost $1.4 billion, and we're going to shoot for over $1.5 billion next year. Now the charter teachers are eligible for that too. But, you've seen public school teachers. I mean, our teacher of the year last year was at an event we did recently, and she was talking about how, she's gone up now $10,000, $15,000 over the last 3 or 4 years, and that's largely because of that. So we have done that in terms of supporting the school districts, because Miami-Dade's a good example. The reason why you have over 70% students not attending their local neighborhood school that they're zoned for is because the district has a lot of choice options. So it's not just private and charter. That's important, and you got a lot of that in Miami-Dade. But you have students that can go to other public schools within that school district, and I think that choice has been really good. But that choice probably would not have happened had we not been pushing choice in the other areas. And so we've done a lot of funding. That's just black and white in the budget. You can look at those over the years. Now, in terms of students, I think it's healthy that schools compete for students. I think it's healthy that a school is going to be in a situation where if a charter school is offering better programs and the parents have more confidence then, and they're losing students to that, then they're going to have to do something to earn the trust of those parents back. And so I think you get better through the competition, and I think it should be a competition to earn parents' trust and a competition for students. That is going to end up making things better. We would not have 1.4 million in choice programs if it wasn't for the competition. Most of those schools, because you have 500,000 private, 400,000 charter, but a lot of hundreds of thousands are within school districts, the choice programs within school districts. I don't think they would do that if there was no other option for choice. It probably would just be one system, and you kind of like when I was growing up. I lived in Dunedin. I went to Dunedin High School. That was kind of it. Things have changed, but I think they've changed for the better. All right, thanks, everybody.